Hello, Tapio Lehtinen. I'm very happy to speak to you when you are back and safe in Finland after what must have been a pretty tough ordeal in the Indian Ocean. We have read about it, of course, and seen photos. Please tell us what happened.
Good morning, Mikkel. Thanks for calling me. And well, what happened? You want the short or long version?
Well, I would say.
Actually, what happened so quickly that it should be possible to tell and explain also pretty quickly. So what happened was that I was, I guess, roughly almost 500 miles southeast of Port Elisabeth in the Indian Ocean, or just getting to Southern Ocean, very close to 40th parallel, and sleeping in my bunk in the morning at around 8 o'clock. I had been sleeping for a couple hours since I had been up on the deck for the last time. Weather was very nice, maybe roughly, I would say 4 or 5 meters per second from easterly wind. I was on port tack and not big seas or anything. And so I woke up to a bang or a loud sound which came from the behind stern of the boat, and I had already rigged the safety net above my bunk, which I use in the Southern Ocean to keep me in the bunk in a case of a knockdown or rollover. So it took me about 20-30 seconds to crawl out of the bunk, and as I got my feet on the floorboards, I noticed that right away that they went straight into water, and the water level was almost up to my knees. And well, the first reaction was for a second or two, I was thinking that this cannot be true, that what the hell is happening. But then when I looked back towards the main hatch, I saw that there was water rushing into the boat from the engine compartment. So I realized that it's a serious situation, and that the water is coming in so fast that I immediately understood that the boat is going to sink fast. So I went straight to the main hatch, and I had my survival suit next to the hatch, as well as the grab bags. So I took the communication grab bags containing the emergency radios and things. That's the first thing which I put out into the cockpit, and next I took the bag which had my survival suit in it, also up into the cockpit. And the next thing which I tried to do was to release the 2 other grab bags which contain medicine and food, and another EPIRB buoy, and also a satellite phone. And what I heard only later on, that my Galliana team had packed also a bottle of champagne inside the grab bag, so that I would be able to, in a rescue situation, that I would be able to thank my rescuers in a proper way. But unfortunately, the water level was rising so quickly that I was at the time when I was trying to open the straps, the water was up to my chest level, and the bags were below the water, and as I didn't get them open right away, then I decided that I'll just leave them. I went up on the deck, and while doing this, I had all these took about 3-4 minutes maybe, and or actually less than that. I guess I was up on the deck already within one minute, because the next thing was that I put my survival suit on and put the life raft into the water.
Okay.
5 minutes, and then I thought that yes, you wanted to ask something.
No, the connection wasn't very good, but now it seems to be back. It's fluky, the connection here. But then you went on to catch your life raft.
Yes, after putting the survival suit and the communications grab back up to the deck, and realizing that I wasn't able to take the 2 other grab bags with me, then I went up on the deck and put the survival suit on, and then released the life raft and put that into the water. And seeing the Plastimo life raft, which had been especially equipped for the Golden Globe race, when I saw it opening, that was the first big positive feeling and a big relief. And my survival suit is a Finnish Ursuit one, which is a very good thick Gore-Tex thing, which has a liner suit inside it, but in the right side decided to leave the liner suit in the bag, and so I put the liner suit and the bag and the communications bag next into the life raft, and as the boat was down in the water already about to the deck level, I also cut the line which was attached from the life raft to the boat. So I cut it with a knife and tied it with a slip knot to the stanchion pole. And after doing that, I had one last look inside the boat, looking whether, because I knew that there was one Etter buoy inside the boat. So that was my main concern, and I also thought that I might get hold of my dear cousin's and Plath sextant, which is kept in a watertight hard box that probably was floating there, but I didn't get me either one of these, and when I glanced then over my shoulder to the life raft, I realized that my slip knot had opened by itself, and the life raft was drifting away from the boat already about 2 or 3 meters away. So then it was just an instant reaction that I just made a tiger leap, jump over the stanchions towards the life raft, and that's the only time of the incident which I don't have a clear recollection, because the next thing was that, which I remember, was that I was inside the life raft, but it was already so far away that I must have landed in the water and climbed up, but I've been wondering, maybe I bounced from the water surface or something, because it went really quickly, and but I have been practicing. I think I've done at least 3 survival courses which are directed to sailors, and then two other ones which are meant for professional seamen. So I pretty much had everything, the whole process in my spine, so I didn't need to need to think much when going through the whole process. And so then the next thing was that I realized that I was in the raft, and I got the first feeling was that I was really mad against myself, because I have been preaching for decades that you never enter the life raft before you are absolutely sure that the boat is sinking. And now I was in the raft drifting away, watching Asteria, which hadn't sunk by that time. So I put the paddle together and started paddling as much as I could towards the boat, because I just wanted to try to have one last glance into the cockpit lockers, and because I wanted to have a look and try to see that if I could have seen what was the cause of the water coming into the boat. But unfortunately, I found it impossible to get the raft moving, so I was just slowly drifting away from the boat. And then it took about 15 minutes for the boat to fill up all the way. And first the stern sank below the surface, and the bow, which has 3 watertight bulkheads, so the bow raised up, but then actually surprisingly quickly the bow compartment still filled with water. I guess the first 2 ones are too little, too small in volume to float the boat, and the last one, which has a submarine door in front of the mast, the door must have been leaking, and because the door has been designed with the thought that the water would be in the bow, and the idea of the door has been to prevent the water coming from the bow into the saloon, but now it was the other way around. So the gaskets must have given in, so that also the forepeak was filled with water, and then there was nothing more to do than just follow the boat sinking.
How much time do you reckon it would take from you first heard the bang and had to get out of your bunk until the boat actually sunk?
Less than half an hour, about 25 minutes. So I from the bang to the moment when I was in the life raft, that was between 5 and 6 minutes, and then in the life raft I was about 20 minutes before the boat sank.
And today, do you have a theory of what happened?
No. There are an abundance of theories which have been sent to me by both my friends and other interested sailors. But the boat was totally rebuilt 4.5 or 5 years ago, and the hull was strengthened. We laminated 3 layers on the outside of the hull, 2 layers of fiberglass and 1 Kevlar in between, and all the bulkheads were replaced, and we also added longitudinal stringers into the hull, and the deck and coach roof are new. So of the original boat, the only thing which was left was the shell of the hull, but the whole construction was redesigned and rebuilt, and I'm 100% sure that the boat was much stronger than what it had been in 1965.
So it must have been through the propeller shaft, supposedly.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Was it the water must have come through the propeller shaft, I suppose?
the opening of the propeller shaft or the rudder shaft is not big enough to fill the boat this quickly. So a couple engineer friends of mine have calculated that in order for the boat to fill totally within 5-6 minutes, there has it will need a hole of diameter with a diameter of minimum 15 to 20 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And both the rudder shaft and well, I saw the rudder and I knew that the rudder was in its place. And as it's a long keeled boat with a propeller in an aperture in the rudder blade, so it's not possible for the rudder shaft to fall off the boat.
Mm.
So it would the thing which is possible is that the propeller shaft seal would have given in, and that would sink the boat, but not that quickly.
Mm. Well,
another theory which is possible in theory. I don't know if it's possible in practice, but Newsweek wrote an article about the sinking, and in their headline they said that the boat was sunk in shark-infested waters, and I didn't think of sharks when I was spending the night in the life raft. But in the article they said that, which I then afterward remembered that I should have known, but I'm happy that I didn't remember. But there's the world's biggest white shark population is off the southeastern coast of South Africa. But after reading the article, I googled a bit on the subject, and I found another article which said that the white shark population has diminished during the last few years due to an orca population growing in those waters, and the orcas think that they like to eat the livers of white sharks, and so the amount of white sharks has been going down. But the possible theory is that maybe the South African orcas have been in contact with their Iberian Peninsula cousins and had learned to be aggressive against sailboats. But then the question is that why did that, if there was a strong impact from a whale, but how didn't I wake up to it? But I have said that I have a history of not waking up. That when I was an exchange student in California 50 years ago, I was waiting for an earthquake for the whole year I spent there, and then the earthquake finally came, and the swimming pool of family where I was staying at was broken in 2 pieces, but the earthquake happened nighttime and I didn't wake up. So I think, and at this age when I'm also half deaf, it's also possible in theory that there has been such an impact that I only realized the sound, but not the impact. And I did have an whale encounter, I think 3 or 4 days earlier, when I think it was a humpback whale which dove up to the surface from under the boat. So that when I was sitting in the cockpit, and all of a sudden the head and the side flipper of the whale appeared just 2 meters from the boat, and it came from under the boat and went off the boat and lifted its tail next to the boat. So but still and still I when I had this encounter with the whale, I didn't get afraid at that time because I had 100% trust in the strength of the hull. I think I had been thinking that even I would have had a whale attack that the boat would stand it, but something happened which it didn't stand, and I guess it will remain a mystery because the boat is in 5 kilometers deep. My grandson, who is 3 years old, he has suggested that we should get a big ship and long wire and take the boat up. But, I guess it won't happen pretty soon.
How long time did it take from you were safe in the life raft until you were able to contact the race headquarters or other boats?
I think I got the first text message within about 2 hours of getting into the raft, because the first half an hour I was just first I followed the boat sinking, and when it went below surface, I was standing up and giving a last salute to the boat, and it was a pretty emotional moment, and then it took a while to just get used to the idea that I'm alone in the raft, and I was just looking around the horizon and taking a few deep breaths. But then I started going through the equipment which I had on board the raft, and that was like a Christmas when I started opening the stuff which I had in the raft, and I was really happy and impressed that even that I had left my own grab bag behind, but I had all the necessary things packed by Plastimo into the raft, and there was a first aid kit, and the most important thing which I found from there was a PLB beacon, which gave my position, because by that time I wasn't, or actually I heard it only afterwards that the Etter buoy, which was in the boat, that it had activated, and even that I hadn't seen it, it had come up through the hatch and given a signal. So that was the first signal that the organizers got from me, the Etter signal, and that I have understood they got that pretty soon after the tracker which was attached to the boat stopped sending a signal. So but then it took about a couple hours before I found and activated the PLB, and then also in my communications grab bag, which I had with me in the raft, I had both a satellite phone and then a YB3 satellite text messaging device, which also sends the position. And I first played with the satellite phone only to find out that the Iridium phone has the antenna is so vulnerable that at some point I had broken the antenna, so I didn't get contact with the satellite phone, and then I started playing with the YB3 text messaging device, and with that I then was able to send a message to Don McIntyre, and then I got an answer from him right away.
Right. So then it started waiting time.
Yeah, that took about 24 hours.
Mm.
But luckily the weather was quite nice summer weather. It wasn't cold. I think must have been between 15 20 degrees during daytime, and the sun was shining, and I was able to open my survival suit and get my wet clothes dried, quite dry during the afternoon before the sun started setting, and then in the evening and nighttime it got chillier. So I closed the hatch, closed the life raft tent, which I had kept open in the daytime, and I found two hypothermia bags which I put inside one another and crawled into those, and I also had put this liner suit under my survival suit, and that's a very warm one. So I actually was quite comfortable in the life raft. The movement was fine, even that the wind started picking up. I had no problems with seasickness or anything, and I was able to get the life raft dry, and it was actually surprisingly stable. Like I could stand in the raft, and then in the morning when Kirsten Neuschäfer came close to me, I was again able to stand up in the boat, even in the raft, even that the waves were fairly big at that time, and I was waving at her with the paddle and the orange hypothermia bag.
Right. Just 1 second here. What happened then was that you were picked up by your competitor, and how about food and drinks in the meantime? Were you able to eat or drink anything?
Well, I'm 64 years old, turning 65 in a couple of weeks. So, looking at the color of your hair, maybe you understand that in my age, I need to take a leak every couple of hours. And the zipper of the watertight metal zipper of the survival suit is a pretty tough one to open and close by yourself, and I also was confident. I knew that Kirsten Neuschäfer and Abelas Tommy were roughly 1 day behind me. So when entering the life raft, and or when I was trying to get the 2 other grab bags off, then I already thought at that time that I will be picked up from the life raft within roughly 24 hours. And so once in the life raft, and even that I saw that I had emergency water and emergency food there, I decided that I'm not going to drink or eat anything before I absolutely need to. And because I said that it was a luxury life raft and fully equipped, and the only things which I was missing was a Gideon Bible and a bathroom or toilet. and due to this last reason, I only drank I think 250 milliliters of water in the morning when I felt thirsty. But I didn't even, during the whole day and night, I didn't feel hungry or thirsty. So.
And there was no contact with orcas or any other animals during that period?
not with orcas or sharks, but the petrels gave me a lot of company during the day. I'm not sure if it's a giant petrel, but it's all black petrel, pretty big sized bird with, and first there came a couple of them, and a couple hours I had 20 of them around the raft, and at one time I thought that because they were all black, that I hope that they are not ocean vultures. So I was afraid of farting in the raft, because I thought that then they think that the guy has started to rotten, that they'll enter the raft. But actually they were very friendly, and it was fun to follow their communication between each other. And there was clearly one of them was the boss of the group, and he or she kept the other birds away from the raft at maybe 3-4 meters distance, and then when the others were kept away, then he came towards me, and I reached my hand towards him, and they made quite a lot of noise, and he clearly started talking with me with his long beak open, and sound like creak, creak, creak. So I offered my hand towards him, and he came and took hold of my index finger, and we had a nice chat. I introduced myself to him. I told him that I'm Lehtinen from Finland, and I'm only visiting here, that I'll be staying here for roughly 1 day, and then there of course were some albatrosses and smaller petrels, and in the night time I was sleeping for 3 hours straight at one point in the morning, and then I was woken up to a clicking sound which next to the raft. When I opened the zipper, I saw that there was an albatross couple in the lee of the raft, and very close at 1 meter's distance, right next to the raft. And I think it was a very romantic scene, because I know that the albatrosses, they can live 60 years old, and they stay in the same relationship throughout their lives. And these two albatrosses, they were clearly kissing with their beaks, which made this clicking sound, and it was really super nice to follow them, and eventually then flew away.
Tapio, then you were met by Kirsten Neuschäfer, and she actually saw you, and the rescue onto her boat was not very dramatic. The wind was low, and the waves were also not too high, so the transfer was quite okay, wasn't it?
Yes, and that was due to Kirsten's great seamanship, that she could maneuver the boat right next to the raft. But maybe the dramatic thing regarding that, regarding the morning, was that it was that how difficult it was for Kirsten to find me. That the waves were, or the swell was maybe 5 meters high, and then the waves between 1 and 2 meters on top of the swell. And by that time the wind had already picked up, so it was, according to the ship's log, it was force 5, which was something between 10 and 12 meters per second, or slightly over 20 knots. And she twice sailed past me in clear daylight, but luckily we got in VHF. I also had an emergency handheld VHF in my communications box, so we were able to communicate through VHF when she came closer to me. But she actually had to be really, really close to me before she could see me. I could see her sails from already 5, 6, 7 miles away, but she could spot me only from less than half a mile or something.
So she's kept looking for you for a while before she actually was able to sail alongside.
Yeah.
And then it took another while before you were translated to a commercial ship, a bulk carrier or a tanker, which eventually took you to port.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it took only 1 hour before I was transferred, or less than 1 hour, because I was having good time with Kirsten. We were having a nice chat, and she immediately found a glass of rum, which we shared together, and we were having good time. And I have to say, I was disappointed to see the bulk carrier approaching so quick. But it was really lucky that Kirsten. Well, it was fun and to meet her and nice, but also thinking of the rescue operation, it was very lucky that Kirsten came first to my rescue, because she could then get me next to the ship, and because it takes half an hour to stop the 230-meter long bulk carrier, and another half an hour to make a U-turn with the ship. But now